The Baltimore Ravens defense has always been known as one of the top in the league, stellar and stout. But there's always room for improvement. And now, with Zack Orr at the helm, let's see how far he can take this defense. All of that and more coming up next. You know why you're here. Let's talk Ravens with Yolanda. Let's go. A healthy balance at every position. If they brought in Derrick Henry, because the Ravens aren't serious. Eric DeCosta's make or break season, off season. Good evening, everyone. Welcome into the channel. I hope you all are doing well. I hope everyone had a safe and fun-filled holiday weekend. Welcome back. Let's go. We have a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm really excited about tonight's show, just because as we talk about the players and the coaches, there's a level of excitement right now that's just buzzing around Zack Orr. And I think this is where the Ravens really have an opportunity to take their defense to the next level. And before we begin, I'd like to say hello to Tim Hughes. Good evening. Good evening. I hope you're doing well too. Yes, as always, go Ravens. That's right. We also have joining with us tonight the Woo Pig podcast. As he said, this is his favorite Ravens podcast. Yes, and do exactly what he just suggested. Wipe your feet. And as you enter the building, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so that you're notified. Make sure you turn on your post notifications too so that you don't miss any content on this channel. So let's just dive right in. So as you can tell by the thumbnail, are the Ravens forging a new identity on defense? And I'm not going to play the clip because last week during the Ravens Wired, we heard from Zack Orr. And what I heard from him and just kind of listening to his story, it's very inspirational. But I'll just recap a few of the main takeaways that I gleaned from listening to him. The first thing that Zack Orr said, he could not imagine doing anything other than football. And as a former football player himself, a former linebacker whose career was cut short and because of injury, and a condition that I think that he was born with or had a pre-existing condition, and he could no longer play the game. When he had to announce that in January of 2017, he's asked himself, okay, what's next? Where do I go from here? And his response to himself was, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I knew I always wanted to go into coaching. And so that's exactly what he did. And this is what I think, what can we expect from him? This is what I think we can expect. I think we can expect a perspective that is not only a coach, but also having played in the league. Being a linebacker himself, he understands, and he's going to bring that perspective. He's going to bring that mindset to the team, and he's going to bring it to the defense. And he's grown up as a Raven. He knows the Raven mentality, right? So this is someone who is really ingrained in him what it means to be a Raven, especially a defensive Raven, right? And coming from his perspective, I was really inspired with his story of hope and not allowing himself to sulk in the fact that he could no longer play in the league. But he said, I'm going to become a coach, and he's loving every minute of it. So when I see Zack Orr, I see someone who's passionate, someone who has excitement, and I also see someone who's energetic and competitive. That's going to translate, that's going to transfer right over to our players, and they're going to feel that energy. and they're going to grab a hold of it. And so this is where I think we can start to forge a new identity. And yes, while I do think we will see a lot of the same type of defensive schemes that Mike Macdonald ran, I think we're going to see, the two high safety, the base zone defense. We're going to see a lot of him utilizing players in multiple positions. He talked about Kyle Hamilton in that Ravens Wired episode, and he mentioned that, Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton is going into now his third year in the league, and he is that Swiss Army knife. He's that. That's what I call him, but I think he said he's that ultimate chess piece. That's what I have in quotes. He's the ultimate chess piece who you can kind of plug and play him anywhere. And I think we're going to see a lot. And we'll talk more about Kyle when we discuss the safeties. But with Zack Orr now being at the helm of this defense, I see it's his opportunity to shine, right? It's his opportunity for him to carve out a name for himself in the league as not just a great player, but also as a dynamic coach. And that's what I'm looking forward to. And wouldn't it be great if we won a Super Bowl this upcoming year, first year defensive coordinator Zack Orr's watch? That would be lovely. Thank you, Woo Pig Podcast. He said the audio is just sounding just nice. Very good. I'm glad to know that. And if you enjoy Razorback, the Arkansas Razorbacks, basketball, football, go over to the Woo Pig Podcast and make sure you subscribe. Mr. Galloway, good evening. Please make sure if you like hip hop, all things old school, especially the old school hip hop, go over to Mr. Galloway's channel and subscribe to him. He and Hendo do an amazing live show once a week, every Tuesday night. So make sure you go over there. Tim Hughes says, my middle son, Odin, says he can't wait for the season. Oh gosh, I know. He can't wait to watch King Henry play. And I quote, let's go Raven. That's right. Tell your son, Odin. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Tell your son, Odin, go Ravens. I'm right there with him. I can hardly wait as well. I'm looking forward to it, but one day at a time, one day at a time. This is also how I think the Ravens will look a little bit different. And starting with our defensive line, I think, and as you see the note here, I said the D line is generally, it's going to remain intact. And when I say generally, I mean the fact that we already had, we had Justin Madubuike, Travis Jones, Broderick Washington, Michael Pierce. And, speaking of Broderick Washington, we paid him last offseason, I believe it was. We extended his contract by 3 years, giving him $17.5 million. I need to see more production from Broderick Washington. I really do. I believe his stats. Let me look at his stats. He had last year 11 solo tackles, 6 assists, 2 sacks, and 0 forced fumbles, earning him a PFF grade of 43.8. We just need to see more from him. But I will say about the D-line, the reason I have the word generally in parentheses is because when I set this live stream up, we did not have the breaking news, or if you want to call it breaking, but we signed 2 new defensive linemen. So I don't know if that was just we need to fill in the off season. We just needed 2 new bodies. I'm not sure, but at least, so that's why I say I think the D line is generally going to remain intact. We'll see what happens. But if we can improve the run defense, I think we'll be well on our way to forging a new identity on defense. I really do. I want to say hello really quickly to Big Reg, host of Big Boy Talk. How are you doing? Good evening. Please make sure you head over to Big Reg's channel and give him a follow. He does amazing content on all things sports, basketball, WNBA, just you name it. He covers life in general. So just head over there, give him a follow. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. I want to say a huge thank you to my brother, Derek. Thank you for joining, Derek. I'm not going to go into all of my brother's accolades, but this is a really, really special person. He's just a wonderful human being. So thank you for joining. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. We also have with us Brandon Bazel. Hola to you. Brandon is just one of my faves. He really is. I mean, all of you all are my faves, but Brandon really embraced me when I first started, when I first came around to the Ravens content creators and I would join in the chat. Brandon always just always had something really positive and really nice to say. So I appreciate Brandon. We also have with us tonight Tracy. Good evening. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, life is treating me well. So I hope the same for you. Thank you. Jared, look, we have a packed house tonight. Thank you guys. You all are so wonderful. Jared, good evening. Salute to you, sir. Please go over to Jared011 Green and subscribe to his channel where he gives you all of the Southern sports that you want. So please make sure to head over to his channel and subscribe. And so now that leaves us with, as we were last discussing, if we can improve the run game, right? And if we can stop, not the run game, but if we can improve on our ability to stop the run, I think we'll be in really good standing moving forward. That brings us to our linebackers. This right here, okay, is where I really think we are going to look different. And this was the position group that really inspired the title of today's show, was how we can look different or how we can forge a new identity. Because when we think about the Ravens last year on defense, we were known as having one of the best, arguably, I'm going to say the best, but certainly one of the best linebacker duos. We had Patrick Queen and we had Roquan Smith. And now with us losing Patrick Queen to, I don't even like to say it, the Steelers, but losing Patrick Queen over to the Steelers, I think now is the time for Trenton Simpson. It's his moment. It is his opportunity. And it's right there in front of him for him to shine. And this is where I think we will be a different team, not because of just Trenton Simpson, but I think because of what he brings to the game. And if we think back to Patrick Queen, right? He was a first-round pick. Trenton Simpson, a third-round pick. And how long did it take us to start to see Patrick Queen rounding into form? It took some time. But when I look at Trenton Simpson last year as a first-year player, I was very impressed. And some of the notables that I have for him is that, he didn't have a lot of playing time. He didn't get a ton, but when he did, he made the most of it. He doesn't give up on plays. He is a great combination of size, speed, athleticism, and intuition. Those are the things that I took away from watching Trenton Simpson. And I know we also have depth at that position. We have Chris Board and Josh Ross, but I think the focus here is going to be on Trenton Simpson and his ability to take that leap going into his second year. And he's had one full year to sit under Roquan Smith. And he was there watching Patrick Queen. So he's gleaned so much as a player. And so I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to do really well for us. I think he's going to, be great in coverage. That's what I'm watching, to see how he is in coverage and to complement Roquan Smith, who I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. Like Tim Hughes' middle son, I can hardly wait. Good evening, Tanja. Good evening. Thank you for joining. I hope you're well. I hope you're doing well. And Tanja says she heard good things about Trenton Simpson today. I have too. I was going to make a mention of that. Today, Isaiah Likely said he was very impressed with him. He looks bigger, just like Tanja said, and he's playing well. He's coming in every day. He's putting in the work. He's focused. He's determined. And not only today, if we remembered from Roquan Smith's interview or his presser last week, he was asked about Trenton Simpson, and he gave very good glowing remarks about him. So that's very encouraging, knowing that we'll be okay, even though we don't have what we have come to know as the dynamic duo and linebackers. Now that we don't have Patrick Queen anymore, it's okay. I think we'll be fine. I'm really excited to see Trenton Simpson take a step up. And also now for outside linebackers. For outside linebackers, we have our staple, right? We've got Kyle Van Noy. And it was one thing for us to lose Jadeveon Clowney this offseason to the Panthers. And that had me worried a little bit when we lost Jadeveon, because I said, oh gosh, he was such a good player for us. He was really, really good. But as the offseason continues to progress, we're hearing Tavius Robinson. And I'm thinking about him in terms of what do I remember from him last season? Well, Tavius Robinson, he's one who sets the edge very well. And his first NFL career sack came against Joe Burrow in that Bengals game. That says a lot. And I was, so I'm optimistic here. So although our linebacker room might look different, we'll have a different identity there. I think we'll see these men, Trenton Simpson and Tavius Robinson, I think we'll see them step up. We also have my guy, Odafe Owe. But one person we haven't heard from, and it is a little concerning, we haven't heard any update on David Ojabo, how he's progressing. Has anyone heard about him? I haven't. But that's someone that I don't want to say worried about, but I kind of sort of am, right? I am a little concerned about David Ojabo just because we haven't seen him, haven't heard from him. I haven't heard his name called. I think the last time I heard anything about David Ojabo was March or something when Harbaugh was asked about him. He said, "Oh yeah, he's doing great." Well, so that's someone that I'm watching for or listening to. But Tavius Robinson, like I said, it's his time. And he was much improved from where he was last preseason to where he was during the regular season. So I think we'll be fine. It'd be nice to add another edge rusher, but I don't know that we are. Today, like I mentioned earlier, today we added 2 D linemen. We'll see where we'll see where we go from there. But finally, last category, last topic. This is how I think we'll look different moving into this upcoming season. We're going to have what I think is going to be a scary secondary. And I think the reason I call it a scary secondary is since we lost Marcus Peters, we really have not had that dog in the secondary. We really haven't had that person that's going to really get in your face, smash mouth defense, and like if you want to talk trash, I can back it up. I can do it with you and I can back it up. We really haven't seen that, but I think we have one now. I think we have it now in, I think Nate Wiggins. It might be too soon to tell, but that's the vibe I'm getting from him. And that's what I'm gleaning from Nate is, I want to have that person in the secondary who we make the offensive coordinator think twice about throwing the ball in his direction. A couple of tangibles from Nate is, despite his size, and we all, I say all the time, size is not a skill, right? But despite his size, he is not afraid to tackle. This man is not afraid to tackle. So this is one thing that, I think pairing him with obviously like, Zack Orr said, the ultimate chess piece, pairing him with Kyle Hamilton. And if Marcus Williams can stay healthy, because we do run that 2 high safety set. So if Marcus Williams can stay healthy, I was thinking about Marlon, but we'll talk about him in a second. But if Marcus Williams can stay healthy, I think he is that ball hawk safety, see ball, get ball that we know him to be. But bringing in Nate Wiggins, although I didn't like the pick per se, not him, but I would have wanted us to go offensive lineman, but that's in the past now. Nate Wiggins, welcome to the flock. And I think he is going to be not I don't like to compare players and say, oh, he's going to be like a Marcus Peters, but we really need that person with that, grit and that toughness and that tough exterior. That's what I think Nate Wiggins is going to bring. And also not to mention his speed. We all know he's sub 4.3 in the combine, but this, just watching him on the Baltimore Ravens Twitter page and watching him on YouTube, this guy is lightning fast. And I'm really excited to see him and see how his skills translate over to the NFL. You're welcome, Tim. Shout out to you. Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, that's very kind. Oh, and have a good night. And thank you. Your dad always comes by to support me. So it's much appreciated. So go Ravens, Odin. Go Ravens. Wear your jersey, your Ravens gear with pride. Absolutely. Tanja Bowman says Travis Jones was coming together last season. Yeah, he slimmed out and he's looking good. Travis Jones, you can't, these are some of our staples. I just want to see us continue to improve. And with our new defensive coordinator who has that experience playing in the game, I think that's where we become a different type of defense. Still similar. We're still going to have a lot of our similarities. The keys that we utilized last year that made us successful under Mike McDonald. I think we're still going to utilize them, but it's going to be a little bit of a change, and I'm excited to see it. And Tanja says, yes, they said Nate does talk the talk. That's what we needed. I think that's what was missing in our secondary. Ever since Marcus Peters, we really haven't had that. And I'll say this, and I'll get ready to wrap up for the night, but Marlon Humphrey. Lord, I just combined two people. I got Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Williams, put them together, and we got a new DB called Marlon Williams. But Marlon Humphrey. I know some people in the flock are not very confident or are very keen on Marlon anymore. I'm going to give him another year. I'm going to give him this year. Last year, he dealt with injury. Obviously, he was not what we are used to. And I want to see him bounce back. I would love nothing more than to see Marlon really take command and show us and really live up to the name that we call him, All-Pro Marlo. I would love to see that. So I'm going to give Marlon one more year. I'm going to stand behind him. I'm going to support him. I'm going to give him one more year. But I do need to see Marlon step up his game this year. And Tanja says, Nate has good hips. He can adjust easily. Yep, to all of those. Yes, that's a matchup. And I mentioned this in one of the previous streams. I'm looking forward to him matching up with Hollywood Brown that first game. I'm looking forward to Nate matching. I think Nate can hold his own. He has great form, great technique. He's very, agile, and he will be able to match up nicely with Hollywood Brown. I think that's going to be a fun matchup, and I'm hoping that, obviously, I'm hoping that we win it. Nate Wiggins wins the matchup every time. Tim Hughes. I think Trenton Simpson is going to be dynamic. Yeah, I agree. He and Roquan are out from the same cloth. Yeah, in that regard, Roquan made him. That's what I mean. Thank you, Tim. 100% agree. When you get to work under a leader like a Roquan Smith, right? When you get to absorb all of that, and not just Roquan, he sat under Patrick Queen. But when you get to watch that type of leadership and develop, and you ask questions and you soak all of that in, that's what he had an opportunity to do last year. And so now this year, I expect him to take that step in the right direction, that leap. And this is where, it's not going to be said about us around the league. Oh, well, they're not going to be the same. Their linebacker duo is not going to be the same, and they're not going to, be the same without Patrick Queen. No, that's not true. While I certainly am going to miss Patrick Queen because I liked him. I thought Patrick Queen was a really good compliment to Roquan Smith, but I wish him all the best with the Steelers, just not when we play them. And heck, I really don't even know if I wish him all the best because he is with the Steelers. But you get where I'm going with this, right? I hope him success. But Trenton Simpson, it's his moment. It's his time. And I think he's ready. And that's what I'm excited about. Tanja says Marlon has one more year. He's heard all the talk. I know he's working. Yeah, he's got to put in the work. He really has to put in the work this offseason and show up in the big moments when it counts. And I'm giving him, like I mentioned, the benefit of the doubt and believing that he will do just that. And Nate Wiggins is watching. Nate Wiggins is a youngster who's coming up, and he's going to be soaking all of it in from those who are older than him and more experienced. And he's watching Kyle. He's watching Marcus. He's taking it all in. And so him coming into the league already just what I call a really good, solid player is going to be even better for having had the mentors and the leaders surrounding him. Don C., thank you very much for joining. Don C. is another one. He was one when I first started, and Tanja too, when I first started coming into the Ravens chats. And this is maybe right before the pandemic, maybe 2019, 2018. And Don C. was one of the first, and Tanja was another one of the first to welcome me. So I really, it means a lot. It goes a long way. Well, that is it for tonight. But before we leave, I want to ask you a question. With the new defensive coordinator and several new pieces and rookies, as well as players who are taking a leap from first year to second year, do you think the offense will have to carry the defense for a time, at least early in the season? I don't know. For some reason, part of me says yes, but another part of me says, I think this defense, the way it is crafted, the way it is built, and we all know that the Ravens invest heavily in the defense. The way that they have invested heavily again into the defense, I don't know that the offense will need to carry them. And if the offense does need to carry the defense, it won't be for long. It might be 1 or 2 games where we don't see the cohesiveness of the unit, of the defensive unit under the new defensive coordinator, but it certainly won't be for long. And like Tim Hughes, like I said earlier, I'm really excited. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to the season. I know it's just June, starting, I think June is Saturday, Sunday. We're right around. And speaking of, June 1st cuts are right around the corner. So make sure, if you are new, welcome. Please hit subscribe and join the family. And make sure your post notifications are turned on, because you don't want to miss any content that's going to be produced on this channel. And I'll see you right back here really soon, because we have to discuss whatever roster moves are made and what additions we make or what subtractions we make post June 1st. Well, thank you again for joining. That's it for tonight. I hope you all take care, you stay safe, and always remember, go Ravens. God bless.